Never thought like it'll actually happen. I mean, this close to home or whatnot.
I went by the homeowner's house and knocked on the door and said, hey, do you mind if we help you?
A family and their dog escaped their home uninjured after a massive fire breaks out overnight here in Chesapeake.
A Navy vet who served in World War II finally gets the medals he earned.
Live in high definition, taking action, getting results. This is News Channel 3 at 5.
And we begin with a lot of breaking news happening right now. Let's start in Tennessee, where 4 Marines were killed in an attack on an armed services center.
Police have identified the shooter as Mohammed Youssef Abdul Aziz. Police say he is dead, but they're not saying how he died.
Weijia Zhang has more from Chattanooga.
4 Marines were killed and 3 other people injured after being shot Thursday in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Somebody brutally and brazenly attacked members of our armed services.
One shooting took place at this Armed Forces Career Center in a strip mall. More than a dozen bullets pierced the glass doors and windows of the facility. Witnesses say the gunman rode up in a silver Mustang, took out a large gun, and started shooting.
The place was like something on TV. Furniture shot up, TVs, walls, bullet holes all in them. And there was what I thought was a Marine sitting on the sidewalk who had been injured in the leg.
Authorities say there was another shooting scene at a Navy Operational Center and Marine Corps Reserve Center.
This is a nightmare for the city of Chattanooga, one to which we will respond.
CBS News has learned that the suspected gunman was eventually shot and killed. No word yet on a specific motive. Weijia Zhang, CBS News.
There is more breaking news in Chesapeake. Police have recovered the body of a man who drowned this afternoon. It happened at Bob's Fishing Hole on South Battlefield Boulevard. That's where we find News Channel 3's Allison Mechanic right now. Allison, what's the latest?
Well, Les, we still don't know the identity of the man who died out here at Bob's Fishing Hole earlier today. We're told by police that the man and his wife were out here fishing at one of these docks here behind me when he fell into the water. They're waiting to identify him after they notified the rest of his family. But we're told by police that it all happened right before 2 o'clock this afternoon. And even though they got here as quickly as they could, they were not able to save the man. Fishing spot on the Northwest River turned into a crowded parking lot of police lights and dive teams. According to Chesapeake Police, a 75-year-old man was out fishing with his wife when he fell into the water and drowned. Police say the man was sitting in a chair on the dock when he leaned over. That's when he went into the water, which they say is about 9 feet deep. His wife called 911, but by the time first responders got on the scene, it was too late. Divers were called in to recover the body. Now, we spoke to many fishermen out here today who have been out here a long time, and they say that the water out here can get very deep and get very rough very quickly. They say that where the man went in was about 9 feet deep, but they say it can get as deep as 20 feet in some areas. We spoke to the owner as well, and he says that this has never happened here, and he's very upset to hear that this happened here today. That's the latest out here in Chesapeake. Allison Mechanic, News Channel 3.
And there is more breaking news to tell you about at this hour. The man accused of shooting inside an Aurora, Colorado movie theater 3 years ago is about to learn his fate. The jury has reportedly reached a verdict in the James Holmes trial. The verdict is expected to be read in about an hour's time. Holmes is accused of shooting and killing 12 people and injuring 70 others inside the Colorado theater back in July of 2012. He has pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity. Keep it right here on News Channel 3. We will have that verdict for you tonight at 6.
Happening right now, a Chesapeake fire marshal is trying to find out what caused a massive fire in a rural part of the city last night. It took crews about 3 hours just to contain the fire. That's because they had to drive a mile to get to a fire hydrant. News Channel 3's Nadine Yanis explains why.
You can live with very little, and so as long as my kids were here and safe, and my husband was safe, and my dog was safe, the rest of it we can take care of.
That is the outlook Diane Orlando has today, as she and her husband snap pictures of their now charred home, just hours after it was engulfed by flames.
It sounded like bombs to me.
Diane and her husband had just gone to bed when she heard the smoke detector go off, followed by sounds of explosions. The flames, the only thing lighting up her rural Chesapeake neighborhood. until the fire trucks arrived.
409 Sunshine Road, crossing St. Bride's Road West for residential structure fire.
It was a difficult operation.
Difficult because the home is in a no water zone, meaning there is no city water nearby.
Once firefighters knew that there were no fire hydrants along the street, they knew they needed to get their water somewhere. So the firefighters came here to this one fire hydrant about a mile away near the Walmart on Edinburgh Parkway. Captain Saunders says that crews on 10 different trucks came, filled up water from this fire hydrant, and shuttled it back to the home.
We call it a water shuttle. It's a big loop.
Included in that water shuttle was 2 trucks from Chesapeake carrying 1,800 gallons of water and a tanker from Moyock carrying another 3,000 gallons.
I think they did the best they could do with the equipment they had.
It took firefighters 3 hours just to control the flames and even more to put it out. Now the fire marshal is looking for a cause, and this wife is looking towards the future.
I had an interior design business for quite a while, and I'm already designing in my head, so not to worry.
In Chesapeake, Nadine Yanis, News Channel 3.
We have new information about a story News Channel 3 broke last year. The Virginia Beach Police Department's renewed efforts to solve cold case rapes have identified 13 suspects.
But some of the cases were dismissed in court because key eyewitnesses are now dead. Investigator Jessica Larche has more on the race against time.
Police say DNA evidence links Charles Williams Jr. and Clarence Speller to the rape of 2 girls in the 1980s. Police put them behind bars last summer, but a judge dismissed their cases. Witnesses who could confirm the original rape kits were properly handled are now dead.
There's a lot of hurdles that you are faced with. Time.
Virginia Beach detective Angela Curran has been on a mission to solve cold case rapes in the resort city since last year. She's been laser focused on resubmitting evidence from decades-old rape kits taken when DNA testing didn't exist. The hope? It may match any offenders in a national database for other violent crimes. A report released this month by the State Department of Forensic Science reveals there are nearly 2,400 rape kits that have not been submitted for DNA analysis in Virginia. The department says some reasons are valid, like the reports being false or victims deciding not to pursue charges. But they say others should have been.
Cases that we had that could have been sent to the lab had been, but at the time, during the 80s, they weren't doing DNA testing then. So that's what we're working towards now, is to get the kits tested with the technology that we have today.
That's how she nabbed Williams and Speller last year. And while those cases were dismissed, many others are pressing through the courts.
We are doing it as quickly as we can. And trying to get to all of those cases.
Curran says they resubmitted more than 30 rape kits from the 80s for DNA testing, and she says that's led to the identification of 13 suspects. 8 of them have been arrested so far. One of them, Charles Pender Brown.
And I remember him rubbing his genitals across my legs. That is the very first thing that I remember. I remember feeling disgusted, but I was also afraid.
April says she was just 4 years old when Brown started molesting her. She says the abuse went on until she was in her mid-teens. And she says her family didn't believe her, so she didn't bother telling Beach police about it. She'd given up hope karma would come around until she saw the story of his arrest on WTKR.com.
I keep pulling the post back up, and I keep looking at it in almost disbelief.
Beach police say they've linked his DNA to a rape from 1987. They say he grabbed a woman walking along the oceanfront, took her to a house, and raped her. His trial on this cold case is later this month.
Them going back into these cold case files and, solving them, maybe it'll give these people some sense of peace.
And that's what Detective Curran says she wants to bring rape victims, no matter how many years have passed.
We have to continue to do what we can to bring justice to those victims.
Now you can see the full report of those untested rape kits throughout the state and a breakdown by city on WTKR.com. Just click on the link to this story. In the control room, Jessica Larche, News Channel 3.
A little on the gloomy side today, lots of clouds around, but that is helping keep the temperatures down. And we are seeing those clouds start to break up and more sunshine break out. Take a look at a comparison of yesterday's high temperatures in these communities and today's high temperatures. Williamsburg, Virginia Beach, Chesapeake all made it into the low 90s. Those same areas today, highs only in the lower 80s. Here's where we stand right now. A lot of us just in the 70s, 76 in Hampton, same story in Norfolk, but let me show you what's in the pipeline and why you should enjoy the mild weather while it lasts. We've got lots of heat, lots of humidity down south, including 94 right now in Jackson, Mississippi, 95 in New Orleans. That's heading in our direction. Here's a look at Viper radar. I have the satellite image turned on. You see there are a lot of clouds around, but as we turn on the sweeps, you can see with Viper radar, there's no wet weather across Hampton Roads and northeastern North Carolina right now. So here's a look at our forecast. We'll keep the clouds and a few breaks in those clouds through the evening hours, a mixture of clouds and sunshine. Upper 70s, partly cloudy overnight, low 70s, partly cloudy when you wake up tomorrow morning with temperatures in the upper 60s. So more mild weather on the way for tomorrow, but we'll talk about when the heat, humidity, and thunderstorms return. That's coming up with our 7-day forecast.
News Channel 3 is taking action and getting results. You see, someone spray painted hateful messages and pictures on the homes of 2 Virginia Beach families, and now, as Kelly Rule reports, the community is taking action to clean up the mess.
So we're looking at the total is $583, and with that being said, we're going to go ahead and donate it to you.
Home Depot, the latest to take action after a community bands together to get results for 2 Virginia Beach families, the only 2 targeted out of dozens of homes in the Green Run neighborhood.
When the times get tough for people, we pull it together.
We pull together. It doesn't matter race, it doesn't matter color, it just matters being human.
These spray-painted images, a Confederate flag, white power, a swastika, appeared on this Virginia Beach backyard Monday morning and splashed across their home and a next-door neighbor's a thick, oily paint, but no one knows why.
I honestly think it was just some kids had nothing better else to do. Like I said, I'm not racist. I don't really want to think about race. I want to think about all this coming together.
And with the click of a Facebook post, that's exactly what happened. Tyree Burton says he reached out to his Virginia Beach Republicans group to see who would be interested in taking action and heading over to the home on Saturday to get results.
When I first started it on Tuesday, we only had about 5 volunteers, so now we're up to over 50, almost 60.
I don't know, just excited about that and blessed that everybody's wanting to help my family. Maybe this is a positive thing to make our community come together.
Burton says that includes the Virginia Clean Beach community, electricians, pest control, coming in with their services to not only clean up, but completely revamp the homes, and plenty of others coming to just donate their time. Starting today with a trip to Home Depot to get all the necessary supplies. News Channel 3 asked Burton if we could come along for the trip.
All right, man, we're on our way.
Without them knowing, we took action and got results as well, making a phone call to Home Depot beforehand.
You guys heard the call and you guys took action and came out here and
good job,
and
Channel 3.
yes, taking action, getting results.
Now they're asking others to jump on board to send a strong message.
That's the only way we're going to stamp out the hate is with a lot of love.
This is 2015. This happened right here.
That's right.
And we're not going to put up with it.
Not going to put up with it at all.
Kelly Rule, News Channel 3.
Coming up on News Channel 3, what made these would-be victims turn the tables on the man trying to rob them?
Plus, World War II has been over for decades, but for one Navy veteran, that's just how long he had to wait to receive the medals he earned while at sea.
And they take a plunge like no other. Some Navy divers from Hampton Roads hit the waters of Georgia to pull a piece of our nation's history to the surface. The untold stories that have been sitting on the bottom of the ocean now being revealed by News Channel 3.
A Chesapeake golf course worker used a shotgun to kill 11 geese in the middle of the afternoon. The shooting happened yesterday and it startled neighbors who called police. Investigator Mike Mather reports the man with a shotgun had a federal permit.
In rural Chesapeake, where the city begins blending into farmland, flocks of Canada geese have put down roots. Hundreds live at a pair of neighboring golf courses, clogging the fairways, munching the turf, and leaving messes behind. At the Cahoon Plantation Golf Course, workers have a permit to kill them, and how they did it shocked neighbors. Elizabeth Burton Foster wrote to News Channel 3 that a worker used a shotgun to kill a flock of geese on the 18th fairway in front of numerous children who were there playing golf or taking lessons. Police told News Channel 3 they found out the course has a federal permit that allows workers to kill up to 30 geese, and they're allowed to do it with a shotgun in the middle of a neighborhood. Even so, police say they've asked the city attorney to look into what happened. I thought Cahoon was a family-friendly golf course, Foster wrote, but I am mistaken. We wanted to ask the course superintendent whether the shootings would continue, but he did not return a call from News Channel 3. In Chesapeake, Mike Mather, News Channel 3.
Former President George H.W. Bush is still in the hospital tonight recovering from a broken bone in his neck. The 91-year-old former president hurt himself yesterday when he fell in his vacation home in Maine. CBS News is reporting he should make a recovery and is now in a neck brace. Doctors say this will take about 3 to 4 months to heal.
Live in high definition, here's your News Channel 3 Viper radar forecast with Chief Meteorologist Patrick Rocky.
Now, this is the kind of July weather I can get behind. A lot of us have not even gotten out of the 70s today, but you can see the temperature trend over the next few days. Tomorrow, we'll tack on a few more degrees into the low and mid 80s. Still pretty comfortable, but then into the upper 80s and low 90s on Saturday, lower 90s on Sunday, low and mid 90s as you head back to work on Monday. Let's head outside right now to Chesapeake. We'll take you to the expressway, and you can see the clouds coming and going, mostly coming through much of the day. But we are seeing more breaks in those clouds and more sunshine breaking out, but still very mild temperatures. We're in the upper 70s right now on the south side, 77 peninsulas in the eastern shore, a pair of 81s for the Albemarle and the Outer Banks of North Carolina right now. So far at Norfolk International, just 78 degrees. Now, the skies are starting to clear. We're seeing a little more sunshine, so we could see that number rise a little bit, but if it stands, that would put us 10 degrees below normal for this 88 is our normal, and some of us have made it into the 80s. In fact, we've gotten up to 83 in Gloucester, 81 in Williamsburg, low 80s also for Chesapeake and the beach. We've had more sunshine across Carolina, so it's warmed up a little bit more. 83 for Edenton, 82 at the Coast Guard Station in Elizabeth City. Winds today out of the northeast. That's keeping us on the mild side because water temperatures are in the lower 80s. Tomorrow, those winds shift more to the east and a little bit to the southeast in the afternoon. With that southerly component to the winds, that's going to pump in a little bit more heat and a little bit more humidity, and then the winds shift right around to the south on Saturday, and that's why we're going to see a lot more heat and a lot more humidity. So enjoy the milder weather while it lasts, and there will be plenty of it for tomorrow. We're talking a low and mid 80s around Thalia and Ocean Lakes in Virginia Beach, 84 for Kempsville, a little bit warmer in Chesapeake, 86 for Grassfield, 87 around Hutchins. We're talking mid 80s for the Ghent section of Norfolk, mid 80s also for Parkview and Portsmouth, 86 for Bennett's Creek in Suffolk, 87 for Windsor, Virginia, 87 also for Holland and for Smithfield tomorrow. We're talking mid 80s on the campus of Hampton University, around 84 for Grandview in Hampton, mid 80s at the City Center at Oyster Point and Newport News. Hornsbyville, high of 84 tomorrow. We're talking lower 80s for Cape Charles and Belhaven and Craddockville on the eastern shore. On the Outer Banks for tomorrow, lower 80s for Oregon Inlet and Manio. Then we climb into the mid 80s toward Kill Devil Hills and Sanderling. Same story around the Whalehead Club. And we're talking low and mid 80s toward South Mills and Moyock, Elizabeth City, Hertford, and Edenton for tomorrow. So here's a setup on Viper radar. We've had the cold front that moved through yesterday. It's kind of washed itself out. It's still lingering to our south, and we're still seeing a few showers and storms along the Carolina coast, not our part of the Carolina coast. And that will continue to push away, and we'll continue to enjoy some clearing skies for tomorrow before we see a few more clouds for the weekend and we start to heat back up. So our forecast for tomorrow morning, we start the day on your Friday. Friday tomorrow, upper 60s and low 70s. Partly cloudy skies, partly cloudy and lower 80s, low and mid 80s in the afternoon with a mixture of clouds and sunshine around. Here's a look at our 7-day forecast, and you see the heat up as we head into the weekend. Upper 80s and lower 90s on Saturday. We'll hold on to about a 20% chance for a pop-up shower or storm, and then we up that to about a 30% chance on Sunday. We warm back up into the lower and mid 90s, low and mid 90s for Monday and Tuesday of next week.
If you can't remember when Friday is, you need a vacation.
It has seemed so far away all week.
He's got an acceptance problem. We used to talk about that back in the 80s.
Exactly. Need to get over it.
We will remind you, tomorrow is Friday.
Yes. All day.
Back in the moment. Reality show 19 Kids and Counting will not return to TLC. The cable channel announced today that it has officially canceled the show. This nearly 2 months after it came out that one of the kids, Josh Duggar, committed acts of child molestation as a teenager. Some of his sisters were among his victims. TLC initially pulled the past episodes of 19 Kids and Counting from its schedule, but kept open the possibility that the show would resume someday.
In Norfolk, Redgate Avenue is back open tonight. It was shut down when a truck knocked down power lines this morning. It happened right at Hampton Boulevard around 7 o'clock this morning. Dominion power crews were there all morning getting those lines repaired. Fortunately, no one was hurt. News Channel 3 is celebrating Christmas in July. You know what that means. Now is your shot at winning free Busch Gardens tickets.
Absolutely. All you have to do is to enter to win is text tonight's keyword TRIP to 46649. Again, text the keyword TRIP to 46649 and you'll be entered to win the Busch Gardens tickets. Good luck, everyone.
An armed robber is the one who ended up with bruises and a black eye after his victims fought back.
And President Obama spent some time behind bars today. He met with inmates to try to build momentum for a criminal justice reform. Back.
He first posed for a picture as the school board chair, but today he poses for a mugshot.
Taking action for a homeless family in Norfolk.
The kids are comfortable, they have their own beds, so it's better. We take a shower, it's better.
I was angry, I was upset, my child was crying. She thought she had done something wrong.
I was kind of mad and sad.
I think they absolutely discriminated against her.
Live in high definition, taking action, getting results. This is News Channel 3 at 5.
Let's get right to breaking news in Virginia Beach. You're looking live at a hotel fire at the ocean front. This is happening at the Travel Lodge at 28th and Atlantic. Firefighters tweeted the flames are now out. Crews have blocked both Atlantic and Pacific from 27th to 29th.
Now here's a look at photographs from the scene. There are no reports of any injuries at this time, and News Channel 3 does have a crew headed to that location.
As we continue to follow that, we're also following our other big story, the heat and some severe storms that may be popping up. It is time to get Viper ready.
And Chief Meteorologist Patrick Rocky is in the Weather Center with our Viper forecast.
And you see over my shoulder, we've got some really strong storms on the peninsulas and the eastern shore right now. We'll zoom into areas that were under a severe thunderstorm warning. You still see the box here, but at 5 o'clock this expires. In fact, it just disappeared. And you see the worst has moved out over the Chesapeake Bay, but you had some very gusty winds, lots of lightning, and some very heavy downpours in Gloucester, Matthews, Middlesex County. As we head a little farther south, this kind of broken line stretches across from Gloucester County into York County and into Poquoson, so around Seaford and northern Newport News, we see those strong storms, and then into Hampton, some very heavy downpours here in Hampton, especially in the eastern portions of the city. And then we slide over here to the eastern shore, and especially the southern portions of Northampton County, just moving into Cape Charles. We have those heavy downpours and gusty winds right now, and as we flip live Viper radar on its side, we're talking about 33 lightning strikes, and this is all moving off to the east. So folks on the eastern shore, especially the southern eastern shore, you've got some messy weather on the way for at least the next half hour to 45 minutes or so. And then there likely will be several more rounds because we've got this cold front that's still well off to our north. This is going to be slowly making its way across the region as we head through the evening hours. And because it's moving slowly, any storms that develop will also be moving slowly. And that's why my biggest concern is with the potential for localized flooding, but also some damaging winds, a concern with this, and lots of cloud to ground lightning. Here's what's fueling the storms, the heat and humidity. You notice, though, in Gloucester, our heat index has dropped to 88 because of the storms that have been nearby, but most of us have heat index values into the triple digits, including a feels-like temperature of 108 in Williamsburg, 107 right now in Chesapeake, feels like 103 right now in Virginia Beach, 106 in Elizabeth City. Even on the Outer Banks, we're talking heat index values of 105 to 107 right now. So our forecast, we'll have the showers and storms scattered about through the evening hours. Some of those may linger into the early overnight, but the trend overnight is for those to move out. We'll wake up to a mixture of clouds and sunshine, temperatures in the mid-70s, and you'll notice the humidity levels will drop as well. We'll talk about how long the milder weather will last, and of course we'll continue to track the storms with Viper radar coming up.
Our Viper Ready team coverage continues tonight. News Channel 3's Todd Carrillo is live along Witch Duck Road in Virginia Beach. Todd, I understand you spent the day with some road crews that were out working in these absolutely miserable temperatures.
That's right, miserable, really the best way to describe this, Les. For a lot of folks, they headed the warnings and stayed inside today. But for folks like firefighters, construction workers, and those road crews, heading inside really wasn't an option. Under a searing high noon sun, where shade is the hottest commodity, there's one word that describes what it's like to be working out here.
It's mainly just a lot of sweating. Sweat.
On a day when most people try to stay inside, this Virginia Beach Public Works crew has no choice other than to be outside. Their job here on Concert Drive in the heat is all because of the heat.
We're replacing a part of the road that's been pushing up from the heat from bigger trucks going over it.
In what looks like a coordinated ballet of movement, from fresh asphalt tumbling out of the dump truck at a scorching 270 degrees to the cloth distributing it and the guys raking and smoothing with the precision of a dentist filling a cavity. It's all happening while the unrelenting sun beats down.
Well, we keep plenty of water. We take little breaks. Maybe sometimes we go walk underneath the shaded tree, take turns and everything, and then just try to stay cool as much as possible.
What would you rather work in, extreme heat or extreme cold?
Extreme cold. I can always put more on with heat. There's only so far you can go.
And you heard him hesitate there between the extreme heat and the extreme cold. One of the things that the crews were doing today to beat the heat was get a lot of the work done in the morning hours so that they could avoid those very brutal afternoon sun around 2 and 3 p.m. Live in Virginia Beach, Tug Carrillo, News Channel 3.
NFL player and Virginia Beach native Justin Hunter was released from jail this afternoon after a judge granted him bond. News Channel 3 Gabriella DeLuca is live outside the Beach Courthouse with more. Has he actually been released yet?
Hi there, Barbara. We are waiting on that right now. He was granted bond around 2:15, 2:30 this afternoon. He should be coming out of this jail anytime they say from now until midnight. We don't know when he will be out, but he was granted bond. Now, inside the courtroom today, we learned a lot about what prosecutors say happened that night. The attorneys say Justin Hunter sucker punched a man after he had already been hit. Virginia Beach native and professional football player Justin Hunter raises his eyebrows as a Commonwealth attorney reveals evidence about his charges. According to prosecutors, the wide receiver for the Tennessee Titans punched a man several times at a sandbar at the oceanfront over the 4th of July weekend. After spending a night in jail, Hunter was granted bond. The Commonwealth's attorney says there was an argument and Hunter punched the victim at least 2 times. The victim fell to the ground and people began kicking and punching him. The prosecutor says it's unclear if Hunter was one of those people. Both Hunter and the victim were at the bar with friends. At some point, the prosecutor said Hunter went outside and into a Range Rover. The victim also went outside the bar. He was bent over and spitting up blood. That's when the Commonwealth says Hunter got out of the SUV, walked over to the victim, and sucker punched him. Court records say Hunter drove from Tennessee back to Virginia Beach and turned himself in on Monday. In court today, Hunter had several supporters, including his Ocean Lakes High School football coach.
What's said will be out, what's in the dark will come to light, and I think in time the attorneys and I think the truth will come out, and hopefully we'll be able to reveal and everybody will see what a great young man Justin Hunter is.
Did it surprise you to hear that evidence?
It didn't sound like any evidence, it sounded like statements.
Hunter's attorney also spoke to us, and he thinks the judge made the right decision.
It just means he's a good kid. As you heard in the courtroom, this is a good kid, honor roll student at Ocean Lakes, went off to Tennessee. He's been with the Titans for 2 years, never had an issue before. I mean, he's a good kid, and they were all there because they know he's a good kid.
Well, you say good kid, but you had to have heard the Commonwealth's evidence.
We'll worry about. We'll obviously, I'm not making any comments on the evidence. We'll let that come out in the courtroom.
Now, Hunter has no prior criminal history. Now, the judge says after he is released, he is allowed to go to training camp, but he must be back here in Virginia Beach for another court date in September. Now, stay with News Channel 3. We'll be following this story. Live in Virginia Beach, Gabriella DeLuca, News Channel 3.
He almost didn't make it out alive. A man is in bad shape tonight after crashing his car in Stumpy Lake this morning in Virginia Beach. News Channel 3's Erica Greenway is live at the park off Indian River Road with more for us. Erica?
Yeah, Les, at last check, that victim is in the hospital in critical condition. According to police, he was leaving Stumpy Lake when he crossed over the center line, went over some cable wires on the side of the road, and crashed into the water. At that point, several Good Samaritans jumped in to help. Jeremiah Williams was fishing at Stumpy Lake when he heard screams for help and saw this. A car flipped over, partially submerged in the water.
I called 911 and I called and told him, I said, I need a truck, ambulance, fire department. I have a flipped over vehicle upside down in the water.
The fire department later recorded this video. As a former Marine, Williams says his training kicked in and he jumped in to help another man already in the water.
I didn't really think about nothing. My only objective was trying to get the guy out, try to get him loose. The guy had a seatbelt on. I was trying to use a knife to cut it. Couldn't use the knife. By that time, the cop showed up and he was in the water and he asked me what I needed. I said, try and cut the seatbelt. He gave me a seatbelt cutter, cut the seatbelt, and then at that time we started to work the guy, trying to get him loose and trying to get him pulled out of the water.
He was finally pulled out and taken to a hospital where he is in critical condition, according to the fire department.
I'm hoping and praying for the family and hoping that the guy, you know, he does come through and he makes it out.
After making sure no one else was in the car, crews started working to contain fuel in the water and pull the car out. It was then hauled away on a wrecker, and the entrance to Stumpy Lake reopened a short time later. There was some fuel spilled onto the road, but crews were able to clean it up with absorbent powder and pads. And police say they are still investigating exactly what caused that driver to crash this morning. Live in Virginia Beach, Erica Greenway, News Channel 3.
And here's a look at Viper radar. We're tracking some strong storms moving across the peninsulas and the eastern shore right now. We'll let you know when to expect storms on the south side and Carolina coming up with your Viper forecast.